Okay, welcome to the City of Nowlan Park and Recreation Committee meeting on August 23rd, 2017 at 7 p.m. First thing on the agenda is to approve or amend the August 23rd meeting agenda. Are there any additions? Chair Hurrell? Yes.
I'm wondering if the group is interested in adding the September 5th meeting onto the agenda, just in case there's any discussion on any changes to it.
Okay. I am in agreement with that.
So move that to maybe number 5.
Yeah, that would be number 5. Dan?
I want to talk about possible signage on the foosballs. Does that have to formally be put on the agenda, or can that be talked about when we talk about the update? How's that go?
We can talk, let's talk about the signage with the update.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
I just didn't know if, something, oh, you should have put it on the agenda, and I can't discuss it.
Okay, and I would like to add a number 6, the special event permit. Is there anything else that anybody has? Okay. I move to approve the August 23rd amended meeting agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Okay, approve or amend the June 28th, 2017 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve these?
Second.
It hasn't been motioned yet. Is that the motion you want to move to approve them?
Yep.
Okay, I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Any other discussion? Okay, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Awesome. Now we're down to number 1, floor items. Is there anyone here who would like to address the Park and Rec Committee? No. I can do a floor item, right? As chair? Do I have to stand there?
No.
Okay. I don't know how this works, but anyway, for the past year, I have wanted to buy a bicycle, and I haven't bought myself a bicycle because we don't have any trails. We have no way to get around, and there's no shoulders in our roads, and I just want to put it out there and put it on the record that somehow, some way, we as a Park and Rec Committee really need to just think about that. Not that we can do anything, but not that we can't either. So let's start thinking about parks and trails. And I am not the only one that has that issue. There have been a lot of people on the Now Then Minnesota Bulletin Board recently that are looking for ways to get places on their bicycles. And it's kind of tough around here, so that's all I wanted to say. Are there any other floor items? Dan,
Are you aware that the trail's coming down from St. Francis?
yes,
Okay.
I am. Are there any other floor items? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to Twin Lakes Beach. So, last week, I believe it was, somebody wrote on the Now Then Minnesota Bulletin Board that they were not happy. I'll read what she wrote. For several years now, my family and I have really enjoyed the Twin Lakes Beach until this year. Litter and cigarette butts are a huge problem. If you're fortunate enough to spend time there, please clean up after yourselves. I was also wondering why the buoys are not installed in the swimming area this year. Love that we have this beach and we want to keep it nice. So there were some other suggestions from people on here, and Mary actually addressed some of them on there. And somebody had suggested maybe putting a sign there, a no smoking sign. Please clean up after yourselves sign. Is that something that we think might help the situation?
You don't think the trash can there has any indication of what they're supposed to do?
I'm sure.
They can't read, we know that.
There's 7 trash cans there.
I know.
They violate the blue sign, nobody pays attention to any of those. So I think a no smoking sign would be a waste of time.
Okay,
Well, this letter says, a suggestion would be to put no smoking signs on the beach and playground. I'd like to suggest to make the entire park non-smoking. Other parks have done it, other counties have done it. I'd like to make it a tobacco-free park. And like Dan said, are they gonna listen? Are they gonna pay attention? How do you enforce it? Well, you really can't, but I think a sign as you're coming in, might tell some people, and hopefully we get, some support on it, but, I don't think it's gonna turn too many people away, and if it does, well, I guess, that's unfortunate for them, but, I'd like to suggest to make it a tobacco-free or total non-smoking park, 100%.
I like that idea.
How about like what the fair does? You got a certain, only one area you can smoke in. And it's marked.
I don't know.
Committee Member Bassett? A question for you. Would you limit that to just Twin Lakes, or would you also include this park here?
Never thought of that. I'd probably make it both parks.
A citywide thing.
Yeah, there's no reason one should be non-smoking and one smoking. I would just make it an ordinance, or make it a rule for all of the parks in the city of Now Then, tobacco-free.
Yeah, because she says here that they're out in the lake smoking and.
Chair Hurl?
Yeah, Mary.
I think the DNR has control over the water, so we
Yeah.
couldn't do anything there. There are cities that have gone, as Committee Member Bassett has said, to smoke-free. I would think, though, that the majority of those cities have a method of enforcing it, and we don't. It would take a guest at the park to contact to basically call 911 and have a sheriff come out and issue a citation. We don't have any mechanism to enforce it. And I only say that, I like the thought of it, but we don't have a mechanism to enforce it. I'm wondering if, what the committee would think about having a sign that says, please be considerate, do not smoke on the beach.
I almost like having all of the parks included. Not just the beach. And could it deter some people from smoking there? And could it help us a little bit if we put signs there, even though we probably can't enforce it all the time?
I think most parks do ban smoking anyway, don't they?
They do. Damn.
Are you gonna ban alcohol too? You're gonna say it's okay to drink beer, but you can't smoke? I mean, people come there to relax, and they sit there and they drink beer, and some people smoke. I don't smoke, but,
I believe.
I don't think, smoking in the outdoors is a big deal down there. And I don't think there's that many cigarette butts down there. And there's garbage cans down there. You know, you can't, prohibit everybody. For instance, the dog people have been sitting down there drinking beer and smoking every day for 25 years. You know, and they're very considerate and they clean up after themselves. So, why should they be punished?
I just think so many areas now are banning smoking from public areas, whether it's indoors or outdoors, that I just think it would be a good thing for the city of Now then to try to enforce, you know, try to at least get the message across, even if we can't enforce it, that, you know, our parks are tobacco-free and smoke-free, you know, if they want to smoke.
Well, there's just as much beer caps on the ground down there there is cigarette butts.
Just as much what?
Beer caps,
Yeah.
bottles. You step on, if you're a little kid and step on one of those bare feet.
Right.
So if you're gonna ban one, you should ban them both.
But I always thought that our park policies did ban beer.
Hard liquor.
Oh, hard liquor. Because I remember when we first did the Lions fishing contest, they were worried about going through the park with the alcohol to the lake.
But that was hard liquor.
Yeah, it was.
Well, a bottle cap's gonna come from a glass bottle, and is glass allowed on the beach? Shouldn't be,
It's on the sign.
huh? It's on the sign? Yeah, so.
I like that idea. I wonder if we should check around to see how other cities enforce it and how they go about this. Dan?
And also, we only have 8 hours of police, supposedly 8 hours of police. We want them down there going after cigarettes. People are smoking in the parks and ignoring the other 35 miles or whatever. I think about that too.
So, I don't know if this will work, but what if we, ban cigarettes in high concentrations of people, such as the beach? You're right, I don't see a lot of other places. But it is disturbing that they're all over the beach.
Well, I don't think the majority of the smoking is actually in the sand part of the beach. I think it's mostly on the hill, the people that bring the blanket and set up there. From what I see, it's not just the beach, you know. I mean, you could put signage up there, but, somebody comes to the beach and they're a smoker, they're not gonna get in their car and drive over to 22 or one of the side roads to smoke a cigarette. So if there's no enforcement, I don't think the signage would really do a lot of good. If you're a smoker and you're there, you're gonna smoke outdoors at a park.
I think we start with at least having a sign up, you know, saying tobacco-free park, and see what it does, see if it helps our situation. Otherwise, you're gonna get residents upset like this.
Well, I don't think we should act on too much from a Facebook page.
What do you say?
I don't think we should act on too much from a Facebook page. It doesn't come in the office.
Yeah.
I mean, does everybody have access to this Facebook page?
Yes, if they want it.
If they want it, yeah.
I'm not on it.
And it was forwarded to the office.
I just think it makes,
Excuse me?
It was forwarded to the
On a
office.
Facebook page. Did the people call into the office with a complaint?
No, Mary told them that she'll forward all comments and suggestions. So that's what we did.
It's your part. I don't care what you do with it. We talked about it enough.
we have spent a lot of time on it, but I just think we should make it a tobacco-free park. I think it would look good for our parks, look good for our city, and we can't enforce it anyways, but maybe it'll stop, maybe it's not gonna completely 100% solve the problem, but maybe it'll at least make people realize that, hey, this is a tobacco-free park. It'll make more people wanna come. That's just my thought, but we have spent a lot of time on it.
I agree with that.
A lot of it's from, in the evening, when people go down there and fish too. Most beach goers are gone, that's when the fishers show up.
I mean, they're fishing on the pier.
Fish on the beaches and everything after
Well,
everybody's
everywhere.
gone.
Yeah. And if that's the case, after everybody's gone and again, we can't enforce it, but if you got a beach full of people and there's a sign there that says tobacco free and there's a guy lighting up with a cigarette, I think the rest of the people are at least gonna be able to say, hey, didn't you see the sign? This is a tobacco free park. But if there's that guy who's fishing after hours, or if there's the guy that's maybe out there walking his dog back on the trails and not bothering anybody. But I think for that person who wants to light up on the beach or light up in the playground or,
Oh, I agree with that. They shouldn't be doing it with a bunch of people around.
right. So I think, but I don't
Where
think,
common sense comes in too.
right, but there's not a lot of people with common sense, so. I
That's
think,
a mess.
I don't think we limit it to just the beach and the playground, because then they're gonna go elsewhere. I think we just make it a total 100% tobacco-free park. I don't know how we move forward with that if we.
Knowing that we can't enforce it,
Right. Right,
it might deter.
right. So I don't know how we move forward with that, if we put that to a motion or a vote, or.
We would need a motion to go to council with that. Dan?
I am a member of both, of the Real Now Then, web page and your Now Then web page. This is one person, one person. you know, I drive through there almost daily, and I know these people, and you know, nobody's down there complaining about cigarettes, butts that I see. You know, there's other problems down there. You got that blue sign there, and, no, you know, you wanna put a sign there, but nobody pays attention. The dogs are on the beach, the dogs are in the water, you know, I just think it's a waste of money, you know, without enforcement.
I've also seen people talk
They don't-
about the dogs
they
in the
pardon?
water. I've also seen people talking on that
Yeah.
page about dogs in the water.
I don't, you know, there's bigger, you know, there's dog poop on the sidewalk, you know, what about those people? I mean, people smoking in open air is not a big problem at that park. I mean, most of the times, you're spaced out far enough that the smoke isn't really, it's not like you're smoking in this room or elevator, you're in the open air. You know, and most people feel the right, they have the right to smoke in open air. You know, I don't like cigarette smoke, but I can't think of it irritating me there. And I've been there more than anybody in this room, more than all you guys together. You know, what about city workers that smoke? They can't, if they're working in the park all day, they can't have a cigarette, you know? I mean, you know, when you say no smoking in the park, there's a lot of consideration just because of one complaint on that Facebook page. People aren't calling the office saying, hey, you're smoking at the park. This is one person that's, starting this whole thing. You know, I think we're overreacting. You know, have you been down to the park and been irritated by Cigarette Park? I never, you know, I've been out here 25 years. I've seen you down there twice. You know, I've seen you down there maybe 3 times. So, and you're gonna enact legislation to affect people there. And you guys you're not even part of that park culture. You know, I'm there. I don't see a problem. I don't even see people complaining. Everybody down there knows that I'm on the Park and Rec committee. They're not saying, hey, Dan, do something about this. You know, I think you guys are overreacting. I think you need to go there and see what's down there before you make legislation affecting people when you don't go there.
Al, what are your thoughts?
Well, I can say this, over at the ice rink, there's no smoking at all in that area, that park area. None. No. Good ban, no smoking, but you know you're gonna have people smoking.
Right. You're right.
Probably would be a good idea just to ban it in the park, really. People would get used to it after a few years and know they're not supposed to smoke there.
Like I said, I mean, it's kind of the trend.
You know, the thing is that people can't be neat about it, you know. Show their butts all over the place.
Right.
I can see what she's saying, you know.
4 people on this page had agreed. Do we wanna maybe just start with a sign, clean up your,
The thing is, over there, we've got cameras
yeah.
for enforcement.
This bothers me that people are upset with the mess, and, I'd like to do something but not be too rash about it, and I think that starting with a sign, just to clean up after yourselves might help deter some of it.
I got a question here. Do you have butt cans over there?
Yeah, what?
There is?
We got trash cans.
Is there 7 there, Joe?
No idea.
I think there's 7 within a 50-foot area.
Did you say there, that we have butt cans part of, okay. Maybe we'll get some butt cans. And have a place for them to put their cigarette butts.
I think that looks kind of trashy. and they're always, you know, they're always burnt and they're dirty, and I just, I'm not against smoking. I mean, I know people that smoke, my wife smokes. I think it would just look good for the parks, and it would look good for the city. It's the trend. I don't go to a lot of parks, but the ones I go to, you know, Bunker Hills, Elk River, you know, I believe they're all tobacco-free, and, you know, they still get a good attendance of people, and whether they pay attention to the sign or not, I think it's a step in trying to cure the problem.
What do you think about a sign and some butt cans?
I don't agree with
You
that.
don't like those?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Make a motion then as to what you would like to see. And we'll see what,
I'd like to make a motion that we make both Now Then parks 100% tobacco-free, and bring that to a vote for, to the city council.
okay, I'll second that. So there's a motion that we make both parks tobacco-free, which has been seconded. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion, Dan?
Yeah, I think you're being extremist on this. I think just please clean up, after yourself, you know, not only cigarettes, beer tops, garbage is sufficient.
Is there any other discussion?
I'd like to add to my motion to include the hockey rink area. Ice surface area.
Okay. And I agree with that inclusion as well. Is there any other discussion? Yeah,
Is there a ban on smoking on any other city-owned properties in the city? That's technically not a park, that's just city property over there. I wonder, is there already a ban in fact in Alden on city property?
I don't think so.
Well, how can we have anything that, if that's not in a part of the park, it's not really our jurisdiction,
Well, if it becomes a hockey area,
it's still not city park.
I don't know, we'd have to check into that then. But he didn't say including the hockey rink park, he said the hockey rink area.
Area, and that's over on city property, it's not in the park.
Well, it's up to the town board anyway.
What did you say?
It's up to the town board. We talked about
Exactly.
this enough.
Exactly. Okay, is there any other discussion about this? That we make both parks tobacco-free, including the hockey rink area, and move that to the city council, is the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
I
Are you up?
didn't hear you.
Okay. There's the motion that we make both parks tobacco-free, including the hockey and skating areas, and move this to the city council.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Second, need a second?
Nope, we have a first and a second.
Oh.
We voted, let's revote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries. Okay. Human foosball update.
It's up and they had, I went down there today and they had the fence around it.
Okay,
It's all together so far. I don't know if you guys wanna get any signs for it.
yeah, we probably should. I'm looking at the council meeting minutes from August 8th. Bettinger made a motion to proceed forward with installing the foosball court at a width of 18 feet.
It's all done.
That's all done, all of this, have
Whole
Blaze
thing's done
contact
except
fence
for
company, verify all claims. Replace them and pick the best site to work off of, verify the court is symmetrical. Motion carried, okay, that's all done, now we are questioning signs.
Signage, well, we have a all, speed limit sign, and then I have some, Joe and I were thinking about putting, some, foosball signs like this. The sign is about this tall, I like that, it's like, a speed limit sign. And, we're gonna, white on the back, and then, cause it's a used sign, and then on the front, couple pictures to show them what foosball is, and then the top will say now then foosball, couple illustrations to remove all doubt and rules. And here's some rules that I looked up on the internet, players, players must play, stop as team's goal, players must place and keep one hand on each side of the color banded band. Players can only move side to side. No player is allowed to move forward or backward on the court or switch positions once the game has begun. No player except the goalie is allowed to touch the ball with their arms or hands. Players must remove their hands from the pole while the ball is in play. Only players' feet and legs may be used to block the ball while in play. The ball must remain low below the foosball poles at all times. Jumping, leaning, climbing over the foosball poles is not allowed, and kicking and tripping and attempting to kick or trip our opponent is not allowed. So there'll be rules such as this, and probably a few more. Like if you only have 10 or 12 people, the goalie can start play with a free kick from the goal. The team that scored, the other team gets the ball, at your opposite goal. The goalie does a free kick. Just simple rules like that. So that would be on the metal sign, and I have it in my truck out there if somebody wants to see it. It's just a metal sign. And then Extreme Graphics could laminate it on there and put white on the back, and I'm sure the expenditure would be very minute. Feedback?
Well, I agree, we need some sort of sign there.
And if you look on the internet, anybody who's ever put this up has their own rules.
They do.
You
Their
know,
own, yeah.
the areas, I went through probably 30, 40 of them, they all have their own rules. And most of these are for events, and it's an entry fee at the top of the rules, and then you go. So this one I saw was without the entry thing, and then, if anybody else has anything they'd add to this, at the bottom there. I think will be helpful to people.
We do have to level off some dirt down there where they dug some posts, so if people go down there, they don't need to get excited, that will get leveled out.
Okay. Do you wanna put some sign information together for the September meeting? Do you wanna
Yeah, I can do
get
that.
it written out exactly what this
Right.
sign will look like?
I can format
Maybe
it.
what it'll cost?
Yeah, I can do that too.
And our September meeting, is possibly in just 2 weeks, so,
Right.
okay. That'd be great if you could.
If anybody else had any input, call me, as far as rules or anything they might wanna add.
Awesome.
Well, where's stuff gotta be in for the workshop?
Next Tuesday.
Well, then you should have it into the workshop if you want to get a sign made this month for September.
I would think we would want to see what it says though, and
When's your meeting?
Our meeting is September 12th.
So you're gonna lose a whole month
The-
of signage.
well, could this be one of those things that, the mayor and city clerk okays us to do? We would have to ask, but our meeting would be September 5th. An entire week before the council meeting,
Chair Hurla.
yes,
We'll also have our workshop on the 7th.
yeah. So our next meeting would take place before that.
Yeah, but you
So-
have stuff turned in to the office before that.
And Chair Hurla, I can check. Typically, we would have to have the information to Corey by the 31st, but I think she has asked for the 28th or
It's
29th
the 29th, she told me.
because she's going to be away. She'll be out, so.
I want to just have Dan make it up and just show Mary and Jeff and let them, they approve it, take it to the council workshop.
Does somebody want to maybe work on it with Dan? And, I mean, we could give 2 people approval to work on this and then bring it to the council.
I mean, if Dan works on it, just let Mary and Jeff look at it, and see if it's passed on to the council workshop.
Joe's been helping me on this. But anybody,
Okay.
I'm an open book.
I'm just saying.
Like I said, if anybody has any other rules or something, I mean, there's a ton of them out there. You have to eliminate some of them, you know?
I know,
You
there's
can't
a
just
ton
have a
out
whole library of rules for a simplistic game, so.
And if you waited it would
I
give
thought
us-
this was one of the better ones that got to the nucleus of the whole thing, was, gosh, you could just keep going and going and going, and, nobody's gonna sit there and read 25 sets of rules,
I don't know, I would like to see the sign. I just would like to see it and have the Park and Rec committee say, yes, that's what we want.
Well, I don't care how you do it.
Do we really need any rules on it? How about just a general sign that says human foosball, city of Allen? There's rules to disc golf too, but we don't put them on the sign.
How many different things can you do on a disc golf thing? I think this is a little bit more complex. You say golf, and so you got the goals. People see it, to most people, it just looks like a contraption.
I think, like I said, if you put a sign there that said human foosball, because, is everybody gonna play by the rules?
You're not enforcing them, they're just guidelines, Chris.
Well,
So make the sign up, bring it back to the
Right.
Park and Rec.
yeah,
Yeah,
just bring it back in 2 weeks.
gotcha.
Thank you. So, on to number 4, ice surface update.
Pretty thin right now.
What?
It's pretty thin right now.
We have some quotes here from the concrete doctor. a rink. A concrete to put under the boards for the warming house and for the front walk. So Joe, you must have submitted like plans for this, right?
Yeah.
And, okay.
The front walk has nothing to do with the ice rink. That's at the office.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where we would have a downspout at the hockey rink.
And it goes at the office at this.
Okay, so a cement slab for the warming house would be 2,400, and the rink, $11,750. Chris, what are your thoughts about this?
My thoughts about this are that, because we're getting closer to the winter season, is that we put the concrete perimeter on hold and we move forward with lighting this year. I think lighting will give us more use of the ice surface this winter than the concrete would. Joe obviously knows more about the surface that we have to work with out there. I know he ran into some issues last winter. I don't know if he's got a cure for that this year without having the concrete footings. But in my opinion, I think that we need to bite off little chunks at a time, and I think we would get more bang for our buck if we move forward with lighting this season and look at our surface or our foundation to the rink at a later time.
Okay.
You better check on your concrete, because last year you had a donation, somebody's gonna buy the concrete.
Correct.
So I would check on that before you dismiss it.
Correct. We do not want to pass up on that opportunity.
You had to talk to Paul who it was, or detail, to have Paul check in on it and see if they're still willing to do it.
Right. 'Cause we're looking at about 2 months out before we start getting into rink season. So I think like Joe said, we check on that donation of the concrete and make sure that that is still something that we can do in the future. And we look at lighting and try to put all of our efforts towards that at this time. Joe, with that being said, do you think that you can work with the surface that's out there now, knowing what you ran into last year with water coming out at the bottoms and,
Oh, yeah, we did it last year, we figured it out.
right?
As for your lights, unless you get that warming house in a place you want, have electric ran to it, you're gonna have a hard time getting somebody to put lights in. You need electric.
Say that again, Joe, I'm
You have
sorry.
that warming house, that's where you're gonna run your electric to.
Right.
Where are you gonna put it?
Where are you gonna put the warming house?
You need a pad, you need electric going to it before you get lights.
So you're saying that a location for the warming house and a concrete pad for that is something that we should look at? That the concrete for the ice surface is not critical?
Well, I don't know, you're talking lights, you need electric, unless you can put candles up there. And where's the electric gonna come from?
Who's paying for electricity?
Dan Williams.
What's that?
Dan Williams.
Right. I think that's something that would come out of the city.
Come out of the city, what?
That's something that the city would pay for.
And the city has agreed to this?
It
I
hasn't
mean,
been,
I'm
it
at all the
hasn't been,
I'm at all the meetings and.
It hasn't been
money
presented
seems
to the
be
city
pretty
yet.
tight, and, you know, I said, all right, you're gonna pay for these lights, for 3 to 4 months. I think we need to get some facts on that before we, do anything.
I got an electrician checking on prices of lights,
Right.
LEDs.
right,
He hasn't got back with me yet. He's pricing 4 of them. And Connexus figures 25 feet up, 20 to 25 feet up.
okay.
Is that for one rink or two?
Just for one.
I mean, that's just my opinion. It was my understanding from the last meeting that a lot of this was turned over to staff, so I've kind of laid back on it, and, that's just my opinion as far as the concrete and the lighting.
Okay.
My Connexus said, you know, they need the power into the warming house so they can tap into it.
So you tap into that for the lights for the ice surface?
Right.
Okay,
That's the one where we want a timer on it.
right.
The Connexus don't put timers on.
They do, yeah, right, that would be more of an electrician's job.
Right. So right now, we're waiting for the price of the lights.
Do you know when you'll hear something back from the electrician?
I thought I'd hear back by now, but we're guessing 4.5 per light. But I don't know how much they cost to run them yet.
So, these lights that you're talking about are not through Connexus, because here it says they can't really offer that to you.
Connexus lights is like these street lights. They don't shine out, they shine down.
Right,
They did put them at Andover. This is what their quote was, 16,000 to do that one. Their rink's not near the size of this one.
Okay.
It's not that size, smaller.
Smaller, about half the size.
So may I get a clarification on something you said? And I'm not sure what I heard. Did you say something about $4.50 a light?
That's what I'm guessing it's gonna cost,
Okay, so what do you mean $4.50 a light?
450
$450 per,
light,
just the light fixture, the pole,
the light.
just the light, okay. And just as a,
That's what I'm guessing, that's what we,
and just as you're talking to electricians and you're talking lights and stuff, they need to understand that whatever lights go out there, need to adhere to our lighting policy. So make sure that they know what that lighting policy
I'm not
is.
putting red ones in. I'm not putting red ones in.
I didn't say that. I'm saying we have a policy and
Red
we
light
should
district
be,
out
They're gonna be
Red light
something like,
district.
Yeah.
like going our shop or like the fire station,
Okay.
that's what they're like.
okay, well, I just want to be sure that whatever bid we get is compatible with our ordinances, because it doesn't do any good to get a bid on something that we can't use.
They're gonna be
That was-
like the ones on the fire station and the ones around the shop.
Okay.
But there'd be, oh, one behind the shop's LED. So
Okay, again, just make sure that they comply with our ordinance.
So do you think we could check on that donation for concrete in the next 2 weeks?
yes,
Okay. Dan?
I'm with Joe. I'd like to go with the free concrete and, just take this thing slower, one step at a time. I'm not in favor of just throwing thousands and thousands for lighting. I'd like to get the concrete out there, this year and, plus when we were talking about the lights, isn't the final configuration, there'd be 2 parallel links? And then, one of the experts at one of those meetings said that, overflow lights wouldn't be good enough for the fun rink, that they wanted lights. We were gonna have lights around both rinks, so we were talking about 8 lights instead of 4. Am I wrong on that?
You're right.
Does anybody remember that discussion?
Well,
Can't remember who said it, but he was sitting where Mary's sitting at the meeting. But we talked about the lighting and, because, I think it started off, because right now they're perpendicular to each other. And didn't we agree that they were gonna be parallel? Am I wrong?
I don't remember.
Do we have a final agreement on the place of how this is gonna lay out?
No, you had told me that Joe had drawn how he's gonna do it.
Yeah, but I thought we were gonna have the warming house between the two rinks eventually, right? And then they're gonna be parallel to each other,
Yes.
right? Yeah, okay. And we're supposed to have luminance around both rinks.
Yes,
That's, you know,
and that's what they've done with this Andover one, there's lighting around both rinks. Except for the.
I mean, we might only have one rink this year, but, the expenditure's only gonna go up. Even if they're not lit up, if we can get them for $450 plus the pole or whatever, we should probably, it might be more cost effective to do that, you know, but one of these ice skating experts, I remember I was there, he said, oh, for some reason, you need to have the same lighting around both rinks, not just overflow from the main rink. I don't know if anybody else was in on there, but that did come up,
Well,
and I thought that's what we were doing.
that would only be right to do it that way anyway. I mean, why would we leave one dark?
Well, if we only get 4 wings, that's
Right.
what's going on here, so we need to get a bid for 8 lights.
This Andover rink has 7. Oh, they had an existing pole. They got
Well, I
7
think
new
we ought
ones,
to
but
wait
they
and get
had
the
some.
price of the lights, that way you can add and subtract as many as you want to.
But anyway, I'd like to get the concrete so we don't have the wind blowing, so we can anchor the main thing down and then, worry about the lights later. You know, this was supposed to be a step-by thing, year-by-year, thing, not just everything.
Right.
We had to have it, so let's get it anchored down so he doesn't have to go out there and put those, concrete things again. And, so we'll have that, we'll supposedly with the concrete, pad around there, we won't have a problem with water leakage. And then let's go from there, because we need concrete there, concrete under the warming house. I mean, that's my opinion, how we should do it.
So,
Especially since we don't know where that money's coming from out of the general, because I'm at these meetings and everybody's worried about where to get money for,
Right.
you know, dust control, all this kind of stuff, and all of a sudden we're gonna pay for lights, you know?
Then you also need, if you get the warming house set where you want it, then and they probably have heaters in them, right? And you have to have electric to it. Then you guys get electricians, switch them heaters over from 3-phase or whatever they are, down to what we can use them for.
so how did it work this year? I saw several times that they had pulled lights behind a truck and brought them there. Did that work?
Say that again?
I saw temporary lights, at the rink this past.
Oh,
winter.
A and B donated.
Yeah, they were pulled behind a truck or something.
Correct.
Do those work? I mean, could they get us through another season that way? They probably will have to if we work on concrete first.
That's up to A and B if they want to donate them again. I think we get the most bang for our buck by getting lighting done out there. You get people skating more often, later. And I think it would really draw people, you know, to that rink.
I think just having the concrete and having water in it will draw people there. But last year, we didn't even have that. I'd just like to see the rink working.
I agree, but
I'm not in any hurry to do all these things at one time, especially when I don't know where the money's coming from for, based on the other projects in the city, I'd just like to see how the money's gonna shake out to pay for their lights and stuff. Cause they want, you know, almost every other project, you wanna know fact, figures, right down to the penny. You know.
Well, I think, you know, this is a time to talk to the council about electric. They're going through the budget talks now. So, I don't know what it's gonna cost to run these lights. So, I may wanna talk to the council so they can budget for it if they wanna do it.
We don't have any quotes though from an electrician yet.
I can give them a call tomorrow and see if we can find me something.
And no offense to you, Joe, I would've been happy to do this, but it was told that it was in staff's hands now, so.
No big deal. I can run over and get prices of lights if the electrician hasn't got them.
Right.
And Chris, you could find out about the concrete donation.
I will find out about that.
Thank you. Okay.
So do we want, I don't know if you guys want to make a motion about the electric to the council, since they're going through their budget talks?
But Joe, how do we make, I mean, what kind of motion do we make not knowing what
Paying for it,
those costs are gonna be?
we never know what it's gonna be.
Well, we need to know if there's money budgeted for it, you know. Anyway, what's there, then, you know, then they'll have to decide if they want to,
Can we make a motion to have Joe look into the lighting and costs?
I don't think we need to make a motion for
And
that,
bring
he's
it
already
back to
doing
us.
that.
Okay,
I agree with what you're saying, Joe, but I don't wanna just throw a motion out there, just say, hey, you know, will council,
Well, when's the next budget meeting? Do you know that?
Budget meeting is. I think it's September.
I mean, are you guys done with the park stuff already, or
We've not talked about the park,
you have not?
no.
Okay.
Let's see,
so what's that date?
I'm looking here.
Oh, sorry.
We have, September 18th is a budget meeting. And the Chair Harilla,
Yes, Mary?
the budget we're looking at is the 2018 budget. So it would be for expenditures in the year 2018. Anything that would come to council for an expenditure in 2017, those funds would have to be located within the existing budget. Whether it be general funds or park and rec specific, park and trail development funds specifically.
Okay.
Joe, can I make a suggestion to you, along with this one quote you're waiting on, to maybe get another one as well? So we have a couple to kind of look at.
Well, you're just getting price of lights. I can get that tomorrow.
So this quote that you're getting, is it gonna be all in, including everything that we need to run lights and electricity out there? Install and everything? Or is it just lights?
I told them we'd use electric poles, just wooden poles. That's why it's nothing fancy. And I'm sure we'd probably have to run the wire ourselves. And he'd hook it all up with the timers and everything. And I'll check with him tomorrow.
I just want to be able to go to council with some numbers, and I think it'd be great if we had two different quotes. And I'd be happy to help you with it.
Chair Hurl, Mary, to Committee Member Bassett, I get where you're coming from as far as the full picture. So besides the lights themselves, we would need to know, if you're gonna present something to the council and ask the council to look at funding it within the existing budget or 2018 budget, we need the whole picture.
We've been down
So-
that road before.
Right, so.
We know.
Yeah, so it's bringing power to the location, getting it to the lights, the poles, the installation, the full package.
Do you have any thoughts, Al? Any thoughts about whether to do concrete first and,
Concrete?
well, concrete or lighting
We
or
got-
both, or?
Asphalt, what is the concrete for? Are they putting a deep footing around it or what?
12 inches,
Just to anchor it.
12 inches.
That's not the way they have it over here. They just have asphalt. What is the reason for that? What did he say the reason?
Anchor the walls.
Oh, okay. Okay, I
But they
got
blew
you.
over last year. We didn't even have the plastic up. And they blew over just the 4-foot walls, 3-foot, whatever, they blew over. The one caught them, so we need to anchor them. They're gonna put bolts in the concrete to bolt them down.
Okay,
I have a question of Joe. So, and to Dan's comment, so does this bid from the concrete doctor include drilling the holes and did the bolts and such come with them, with the boards? So we would need to have a cost of, in looking at the full picture, the cost of drilling the holes and the bolts to go into the holes to hold the boards down. And then a question is, you had said 12 inches, but it's 12 inches in diameter, it's 6 inches thick. Is he saying that those 6 inches is half of the 6 inches gonna be buried? How does that work? I'm just
4
wondering.
inches, 4 inches of it would be sticking up.
Okay, so 2-inch buried, okay. And is there any stabilization to this big circle of concrete? Because it's gonna move with the ground.
They claim that's what they've been using for these rinks. They put them in 2 or 3 different cities already, just
Did-
like this.
Did they say what cities?
They did, but I didn't write it down. I can't remember, to tell you the truth.
Would you be able to find that out?
Yeah.
Ask them, thank you.
And didn't the ring come with bolts to bolt into? I'm kinda thinking it might have.
And they wouldn't have anchor bolts.
Okay,
Well, if they did, we still have to put.
Yeah, real anchor bolts going up.
okay.
So we would also have to have that added cost in there.
I think one of them they did was in Otsego, but I ain't gonna swear by it.
I guess I agree with getting the concrete laid first. I mean, that's the base of the rinks. And if we don't have that, what do we have? We need that base first, and I would think that, focusing on concrete is what we should do this time. But continue working and thinking about
I mean,
lighting.
we could get the facts and figures for electricity and, like Mary said, that would come out of the 2017-18 budget or 18-19, which one did you say?
Well,
Is that what you're working on, right?
Committee member Williams, right now, we are working on the 2018 budget. So
Yeah,
anything,
so-
any expenditure prior to that, we would have to locate those funds within the
Right.
2017 budget. I have another question on the bid, and in dealing with putting in the anchor bolts. They've got a 3-foot by 3-foot by 3/8-inch rebar grid. We would need to know where that is in the concrete, because if you're gonna be drilling down to put in your anchor bolts, you don't wanna be hitting that rebar.
Okay,
In installations like that, sometimes you just put the bolts right in the concrete. You have you make a pattern out of a piece of plywood, then you just set that there and then you put the bolts right there. And so when the concrete, the bolts are sitting there.
Can't do
Di-
that,
Why?
because you know where the rink's gonna go.
We don't know, yeah, that,
It can be shifted 3 or 4 inches, one way or the other.
Well, how are they gonna, what's gonna shift?
You might have to move the boards one way or the other, get on the center of the concrete.
and I agree with Joe, is that, and you are correct, it's, typically you would make a template, but that's something that's gonna be there, stay there. These are gonna be up and down, and, yeah, you don't know where your curve is and all of that, so I would think that those would have to go in after.
Whoever designed it can tell you exactly where the curve is.
Well, then you're gonna call the manufacturer who designed it?
You've already done it, haven't you?
I did initially, yes, on some other questions, yeah.
But still, to get your bolts in there just perfect, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, the concern I have is if you have that rebar grid in there,
Right.
even wire mesh, and you can put the wire mesh on the, if we call them elevators, and you still have to pull up the wire mesh, and you still have to, if you're trying to drill through that, if you hit the mesh, you've taken away the strength of the mesh and your chance of wrecking your bits.
okay. So our task for our next meeting is to look into the concrete. Probably get a bid, full bid on it,
Probably a second bid too.
yeah.
Okay, all this stuff down here that you're seeing the rebar, that's for the sidewalk at the office.
Oh,
Is it? Okay. Joe, so then there won't be any rebar or mesh in the pad for the warming house?
Warming house maybe, but it won't be for the rink.
Probably not for the 12-inch.
So this company has done this for other rinks, did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Good question.
What I'd like to do at the office, let's talk about the sidewalk. Right now, we got a gutter that goes across the sidewalk. And we did have one person trip on it a couple years ago. So I'd like to take a section of sidewalk out and put a gutter through it. So get rid of that pipe across the sidewalk. That's what this is for.
I have a gutter with a hinge on it that goes across the sidewalk. Okay, Dan.
Where's this money? Is this money coming out of the Park and Rec Fund or for the pay for the concrete and lights? Where's that money coming from?
Well, I believe we are looking at somebody donating, and we have to find out if they still are, and
What about the money from the lights? Where is that? Is it coming out of what fund?
Well, it should be.
We would need
That should
to-
be park improvement. fund.
we would need to talk to the council about that, to put it in their budget, probably for 18. I don't think it's gonna happen right away. Never know, but
I just wonder where, we're throwing the money going out. I just like
I
to know
don't
where
know,
it's
that's
coming
for the
from.
council to work with. But at their September 18th budget meeting, they could use a little encouragement maybe.
I thought you weren't supposed to talk at those meetings.
I would hope that the Park and Rec Committee could talk at those meetings.
Well, Mary can talk, she's a liaison.
Well,
She
that's
can-
true.
There's no public open forum on those budget meetings, to my recollect.
There's not. But I'll get a price on the lights, then they should be able to
Thank
tell me
you.
what they cost per hour to run or something.
And Chris will check on that concrete, see about a donation. Right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Somebody should, well, we can talk to Connexus about getting electric to the warming house after, put out location for the warming house, I guess.
Has there been any talk on the well? Or anybody working on that? Is the well ever gonna come soon or not? I mean, he can't haul forever.
One step at a time. Yeah, we might dig a pond out there.
Well, let's just work on the concrete. Then we'd have
Well, I
something
just
to
asked
fill.
if anybody has any new
I don't
information
think so.
on the well, or is anybody working on, any new information on the well?
Hopefully no new information, but I think it's been mentioned. At a council meeting, I believe.
Chair Guerrero, you are correct. We have had general conversation, but there's been no direction
Right.
as to obtaining costs,
Yeah.
allocation of it.
No cost yet?
We've not had any direction provided to go out and look for, to get costs for it.
Okay. Number 5 on the agenda, September 5th is our next meeting, and myself, I would like to keep that date and not just cancel September. I would like to keep it. We have some things we're working on, and with a special event permit as well, so. Anyway. Mary, is that what you wanted to talk about, is whether we're gonna move it or change it, or?
The Chair Guerrero, yeah, just a discussion if the committee wanted to change something that we would get that changed to council. And then keep it as is just, that's appropriate
I
also.
like to keep it as is. Your thoughts, do you think so too? Yes? We could get back on track? Okay. Okay, and then number 6, special event permit. I did work on this, and this is my final thing. So I would like everyone to take a copy of it, and instead of work on it here, we could take it with us and come back on September 5th and comment on it, unless there's anything you see that you'd like to comment on it. Now, I do have one question. This is from Spring Lake Park. It's been changed to some of our things. I don't know, I took administrator out and left for city clerk, treasurer, things like that, so I did change it to fit our city. But I called Corey, our city clerk, and she's thinking that maybe, and I told her I'd ask the committee, that maybe on this special event permit application / checklist, maybe we put on there somewhere the amenities that we do have, things that they could rent. At first I was thinking, oh, I don't think so, because if a person wants to do a special event, they know what properties they want to use, whether it's their own or they see a field or they see something, and they're gonna know what they wanna use for an
They
event.
scout it out normally. They scout it out. normally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure we need a list of our amenities on there.
Well, but then again, if it's advertised somewhere, or if somebody picks one up, it is nice to see what they,
Could use.
like if this is here at this park, and this is there at that park, so you can say, oh, this is what we need for our, event, Well, I can see how that could be informative.
Okay. Cause I can add that. And would I put that in the guidelines, the guidelines, policies and procedures, or would I put that on the application? Where would you put it?
Where would you get the most visibility? Where would you put it?
Well, it's a long list. Cory had sent me an email that listed them all, and it was pretty long. It was like 20 things, and not so sure that would fit on this pretty page here. Maybe we'll put a paragraph in the guidelines about what's available. Oh, here, the amendment, here. Now then, park shelter pavilion, softball field, baseball field, bleachers, city hall, vacant lot across from the recycling center. Authorized use of four-wheelers, other utility vehicle during the event. Any additional requests such as use of staff or firefighters, use of equipment to move tables, use of other storage facilities for storage of golf carts, and anything else we can think of. I mean, it's quite a list. I think it would mess up this pretty little form we
Yeah.
have here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a line amenities on page something, and direct them to it, and then have them listed on the, that's probably
Put it in the
how.
guidelines.
Amenities listed on page, whatever, see a blank pages there.
Okay. So, if you could take this home and look at all of it and see what you think, and come back on September 5th with ideas, suggestions, that kind of a thing. Is there anything else on the special event permit that anybody has? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
A second.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, that's what I thought you did.
Motion? You made the motion at 8:24 PM. You
Second it.
seconded. Yes, and Dan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries.